No.
Hello.
Hey!
Is that peaking for you? Maybe.
It doesn't look like it.
Duck.
That's
Chinese food.
That is. And I think they have that.
That is
in
Chinese
I
food.
think they have that in A Christmas Story.
You know what? They also have a Christmas Story. Twitter.
They do. I don't know where you're going with that one, but I forgot to tweet, and that's probably what was on your brain. Boom.
They also do not have Twitter and a Christmas Story.
They don't. I like that movie a lot.
Well, why don't you guys tweet for us?
Please.
Please just tweet for us. Somebody tweet for us.
I'll give you my password if you'll retweet it.
That's quite an offer.
Real quick, and then I'll hit the button. Can we all scoot towards Roxy, which is our right? Everybody scoot to our right.
3,
Even
2.
Roxy?
Yes. Boom. Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you.
How does Roxy scooch towards Roxy?
Yeah, I know. That's why I needed to clarify more.
Find out more on this episode of Super TV Showdown in 3,
2,
1.
7. Was that funny?
Just coming in with a laugh. Just
gotta come in with a laugh.
We're here. We're having jokes. Welcome to Super TV Showdown. We're talking about every single show. And guess what, gang? Sam watched all of them. DJ, did you watch all of them?
I sure didn't.
Not even Gotham?
No.
I did. Roxy.
I am not shaking that hand when I know what's to come from
Do
it.
we want to start with Gotham?
we got to earn it. We got to get to Gotham.
You do have to earn it, and you have not.
I'm excited.
You have not earned the right to watch that show.
I thought the plan was we were supposed to watch the last couple episodes.
It is the plan. And you know what? In life, DJ, sometimes you make a new plan.
Interesting. And that happens a lot in Gotham.
Yeah.
They make so many plans. Shia E., thank you for joining us. Let's kick it off, gang. We're going to talk about Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, all the good ones. But really quick, wanted to give a quick shout out to
Gotham.
DC Universe, Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Very close. There's a teaser that came out. I had it downloaded, but I was like, YouTube's really good at dinging us whenever there's footage in here, so I didn't want to play it.
Fair enough.
But anyways, we excited? Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
There's a corpse that had little squigglies.
I didn't think it was a teaser. I thought it was a whole...
Yeah. There's no... He pointed out before we started recording that there's like no dialogue in it.
Yeah, nobody says anything. I saw it playing, like I was scrolling through Instagram, I saw it playing, I'm like, I pulled it up online, I wonder what they say, and it's like, it's literally just people. It's actually not a great trailer, I don't think.
I don't think DC Universe has any good trailers.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Titans trailer. I thought it did a disservice to the show.
Doom Patrol one's bit.
It's not good. Even though, hey, show's real good when we talk about that show as well.
Yeah.
But no, I just didn't. I don't like these trailers. But I will say the physical aspects of the horror, like the wormy, little gross, rotten vein things going all over the morgue, was pretty cool.
I think it looks cool. I think people need to just woosah.
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 There you go.
People are so stressed out about this being cut from 13 to 10 episodes, and the drama and the tweet that went out and from the actress, and then it got pulled, and then, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
This show just might be great, so just chill till it comes out.
Awesome.
Ooh, little plug. There isn't a link anywhere, but go find it.
You don't know there's not a link.
I do. I made the live stream for it.
You don't know what I've done from here with my mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, you don't know what Roxy's capable with her mind.
Thank you, DJ.
I do like. I like the shot of something lurking in the swamp. I like the what's that guy doing in the corner of the room in that one shot? Is he
step.
Okay. And I like
Don't do that.
what I assume is that Unmen. Classic Swamp Thing villains, the Unmen, who, if you watch the animated series like I did, they were like creature people. But typically in the comics, they're like, it's a gross zombie, the Thing type situation, which is kind of looks like what we're going with here. And so I liked all that stuff. And the actress that plays Abby Arcane is very attractive.
There you go. Hey,
and she was in Gotham. She was one of the Poison Ivies, I think.
Not the most recent.
Yeah.
I think the middle tier, not the kid.
The one thing that you can say for sure about DC is they've cast some pretty beautiful women across DCU and their Fox shows and the CW shows.
Exactly. That's how you get normal people to come watch. All of a sudden, there's attractive people. What are they doing? Fighting Swamp Things? Well, I'm interested.
Yeah.
And so maybe this will get more people to go download DC Universe, because you should be doing it, and you should be watching Doom Patrol. But before we get to Doom Patrol, I think maybe collectively our favorite show to talk about on this show. Let's talk about Supergirl. This episode is Season 4, Episode 18, Crime and Punishment. Kara and Lena head to Stryker's Island to find clues that may help defeat Lex Luthor. Kelly encourages James to confide in someone about his PTSD. Alex faces off against Ben Lockwood when he takes powerful weapons from the DEO to hunt Supergirl. All right, kicking it off.
Is that pretty accurate? Is that a pretty accurate?
Yeah, I think IMDb did a good job. Yeah.
You missed this one?
I missed this one.
Okay.
The only ones where was able to catch this week were Legends, Arrow, and Doom Patrol.
What part of that sounded the most interesting to you? Any part?
Go back.
Hold on,
Sorry,
it's already fleshed
A
out.
lot of
I'm
it
so
really
sorry,
stood
I'm
out.
You had a prison break.
Yeah.
The James Olsen PTSD.
Kelly encourages James to confide in someone about PTSD. I think that sounds like one of the main cruxes of the episode. No, I'm kidding.
It really was a huge chunk of the episode.
Alex versus Ben Lockwood. It's because powerful weapons are involved. That sounds like the coolest.
It's mainly talking about.
Yeah,
it's like it's the part of like the pirate movie where instead of fighting over the treasure, they talk about it. Yeah.
Cool.
You know, like
They
you know
threaten
how
to go get their
TV
boss.
Fights was called TV Fights, and it's a different kind of fight.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
There you go. What do you think of this episode overall, Roxy? Not for you?
It was not a bad episode of Supergirl. It just was not. It was there. It was an episode for me, and I'm kind of tired of Supergirl. Oh, stop scrolling. I'm still looking at the parts.
I didn't know you would. I didn't know you needed it. There you go. Yeah.
You
Sorry,
did-
we have a teleprompter
We've been
now.
working together. You guys have literally employed me for the last 2 years on this show. You don't know I need that? You didn't know? You think I have all the episodes figured out? Yeah, that's been very clear on this, right, guys? That's totally how it's been. I think that there were just things that this show does, like the PTSD thing. It's a really real thing. And instead, he's got squiggly veins going through the back of his neck, and this is a power thing.
Sure does.
So it's kind of like this show, when we do our gun control episodes, or whatever, we always end up saying, this matters. And then it doesn't matter on our show. Like, we're going to talk about gun reform, and then everyone's going to use guns for the rest of the season, and we're going to pretend that we're going to talk about PTSD, but actually, that can't be what's going on. He's got powers, and that just irks me to my core.
Yeah, the gun control thing was handled tactfully, and this PTSD is handled tactfully.
Do you think so?
No, I did not. And also, to be fair, it's a very small part of the episode, so I actually don't really. I remember the scenes. I know where we ended with James, and it's like, powers are manifesting. How's that going to turn out? Maybe he'll be a villain for a whole season.
It looked
Who
like
knows?
he was going to make out with his sister at some point. But
That'd be
then it
cool.
looked like Alex was going to make out with his sister.
And that'd be cool.
And
I
then,
feel like that's what they're going with. Alex and the sister making out.
I mean, that makes more sense than James and the sister making out.
How come? I'm watching a lot of Game of Thrones right now. Everyone's
So,
encouraging it.
I don't really want to step in this right now because have you guys not seen the Roxy's pro-incest tweets that have been going down all week?
No.
Okay.
I'm not following that hashtag.
That is a thing that is currently taking place because I talked about with Danny and John how it was probably is not that big of a deal to the Targaryens back then because, you know, the Jews, the Brits, a lot of people didn't think incest was a problem, which made people say that I don't think incest is a problem.
Yeah.
which
That's
is
also
not
weird, the
true.
argument of like, well, back then they wouldn't have cared. Well, one, it just not doesn't exist. The Westeros doesn't exist, so there isn't a back then. And also, we're making the show now, so the people making this show, that's what concerns me more. Is like, does George R. R. Martin not think this is weird?
No, but everybody was talking about like, why isn't Danny reacting to that? And I was like, I don't know if she cares about that part
Exactly,
of
especially
it.
when there's an ice army. Also, she's all about the throne. She doesn't care about.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think she. The last thought is I'm banging my nephew. She's really just thinking like, what's happening with the throne?
I honestly think the show's going to completely gloss over that for other. Yeah.
Well, speaking of glossing over things, we did that with gun control because there's a lot of guns in this episode of Supergirl.
Yeah.
Lots of them. Actually, some so powerful they could take down Superman. But we don't thank God there's not a pistol in sight.
Yeah, that was interesting too with the Mercy Graves being back and the
All the graves are back.
yeah
Otis Graves is
sorry,
back.
We've got
Otis.
Yeah, she's super dead.
Yeah.
But as dead as
Yeah,
he
yeah,
can
yeah.
be because
Otis
we see that he
Graves.
can detonate, which is pretty cool. I like this guy and I like the rig on his chest. I think it looks pretty cool.
I think it looked dope also. What did you think about though Supergirl's transition into Kara into I'm just an innocent girl? I think Supergirl went that way.
Yeah.
Were
I think we
you-
got some prison breaks.
Were you
over there,
fine
too.
with that?
Yeah, no, it worked. I mean, it worked. The logic of that tracks for how the show works. Is it stupid? Yes, 100%. But that's something we
But
have to
that it
accept for
worked
this
with
world.
Otis and it worked with
It's fine for working with
Homeboy.
Otis. This guy that we have in this scene is so intelligent that he's like a kind of a Snowden type character a little bit. Like
documents.
He released documents, and I liked his rapport with both Kara and Supergirl. The way he talked to her, I thought that was really cool. And then the interview at the end, I thought was very interesting as well, like leaking stuff about Lex Luthor.
So
he's in the
DJ,
cell across from Lex Luthor.
Basically, Supergirl goes to this homeboy and was like, "Listen, I need info on Lex. Can you give it to me?" And he's like, "No." And then Kara is there, and and he's like, "I'm the biggest fan of yours. I read your journalism every day."
Interesting.
And he's like, "I've got all the gossip for you." And so she realizes Kara has superpowers too, getting people to talk.
Cool.
Getting people to talk is just as cool as flying. It's just the power of gabbing. No, I like this whole entire episode when it comes to the prison scenes. I thought they were really interesting because
I agree with that actually.
The way Kara can use both her human side or her human persona and being a superhero, and her relationship with Lena. I like that they kind of really, speaking of glossing over things like before, they've glossed over the fact that Lena at one point didn't trust Supergirl whatsoever.
That's really bothering me, Sam. I'm not able to move forward with this right now.
I mean, I get it. No, that's fair. Hey, I get it.
It's frustrating me because they haven't even had a conversation. Like, I want Lena to one time say, "You know what? I really didn't trust you because of everything that you did for good reason, but now you are proving yourself to me." And I also we're talking about the guy who was across from Lex being smart. Every time that Lena doesn't know who she is, I sigh. You're supposed to be one of the smartest people on the planet.
Well, so is Lex. Lex has met Clark a lot. I know there's reasons in comics, but also if we just kind of basic stuff. There's a lot of facial recognition stuff out there now. That would take about 2 seconds to figure out that that's Clark. A well-known published journalist would be identified pretty quick.
What you don't know is glasses take away facial recognition.
There's actually a study out there that says that glasses can make it harder for people to identify people by like 30%. But that's based on people you don't know. If you do know people, you would recognize them through glasses. Just a fun little thing. There's a little research thing I read. But when I like the way that they were using the different gadgets that Lex had hid throughout his cell when it came to like the chessboard and moving the pieces around and unlocking like journals
and their childhood.
Yeah, that was cool. And also they flash back to Lex and Lena being children, and Lex is he's like a full teenager and she's a little girl. So it's like making it clear that their ages are very different.
Yeah.
But that made me sick to my stomach, and I know it makes sense, and I'm not upset that it was in there, but him being like, "Lena needs my approval," that idiot, like in his journal or whatever, "I'm gonna make her just need me," haha, moron. I just felt so sad as somebody who has an older brother. Like, if I ever looked at that, I would be devastated.
Hey, she's used to it. He turned the sun into a red sun.
Yeah, I guess if my brother did that, I'd be a little more pissed than the journal entries. But it's about even.
But then there were some nice things written in there too.
Kinda.
It was a real mixed bag. Otis versus Supergirl was a great moment for me. James's stuff, I think they can pay off in a cool way at the end. I think our journey there with PTSD is a weird way to go about it. Also, they keep showing him getting shot over and over again, and I'm like, and Brainy, we had this whole like subplot where Brainy and Nia are trying to decide if they should get rid of the registry for aliens from the DEO.
They just keep going back and forth with Nia, "Tell me what the future is." Nia, "Don't tell me what the future is." Nia, "Tell me what the future is." And I'm done with that argument. I really love Brainy's character. I really love Nia's character. I'm really loving them together. I need them to have a little more to do. This to me was kind of a busy work episode for them as opposed to meat and potatoes. I want them to really be part of the team.
It felt a little bit kind of just a bridge episode since there's nothing permanent that happens about anything. The only thing that we actually the only thing that happens is that now Supergirl has someone who knows a little bit more about Lex than Lena does, and that being the guy who lived across from him. But besides that, nothing else really happened. So yeah, it does feel like a little bit of a middle episode. Even Otis died again, and then he's back together by the end of the episode. So which is fine because I like the character. I don't mind if that's his bit that he's like a Frankenstein and he keeps coming back and he keeps dying. But overall, what would you rate this episode?
Probably a 7. You
agree?
Wow, 7, yeah.
I think I liked it a little bit more, so I'd give it a 7.3.
Oh,
Gotta be annoying. I could feel it coming. I had to pull a quick one over you. Hey, it's fun. I'm having fun over here. But you know what's also fun is you banning your kid in the future. Let's talk about Flash for a second.
I think I liked it a little bit more than Sam. I'd give it a 7. All right.
Here it goes. It's Flash.
Wait, how long has this asset been up?
Shouldn't have been up for very long.
Who knows? Who knows?
I did it.
Okay.
Season 5, episode 19, Snowpack. Caitlin must resolve her relationship with her mother while Icicle, a.k.a. her dad, returns to enact the next phase of his devious plan. Iris takes matters into her own hands after Barry makes decisions about their family without consulting her. I genuinely really like, just kicking this off, because I know DJ has not watched it, so it's Roxy, you and me. Taking point.
I would like to say that just in case that asset was up for a big bulk of that conversation, I do apologize.
I don't think it was.
Just in case.
Scroll, Sam, scroll.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Let me roll back up. So when we open on this episode with Iris confronting Barry, being like, "You have to stop making decisions purely on emotion," and it was genuinely a good call out where it's like Flashpoint, like Savitar. They just start listing like moments where he has grown and then he has regressed back to making emotion-based decisions.
And I completely agree with that point. However, I feel like they decided to write this episode. They realized that, and so they threw in that line in that moment. And I'm so tired of seeing this. If I'm Iris, I'm divorcing Barry.
You should. At this point, you abandoned your kid.
You ran our kid. You didn't talk to me. We put the kid in the pipeline. I didn't agree with that. I took the kid out of the pipeline. And then instead of putting the kid back in the pipeline, which still would have been bad, you brought the kid to the future so that I will never see her again until we have her. And you will never see her again.
Period. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
But she hung out with the guy that murdered my mom.
And that's what Barry kept saying. But did you see who she talked to? Did you see Iris? I was like, shut up, Barry. Shut up.
Counterpoint. I thought the acting in those scenes were really good. And
For the first time in so long, Grant Gustin brought it.
I thought he brought it.
Ready for this episode.
And
which made me think he was going to die.
Candace Patton. I thought when they really work hard, you can tell they're near their end.
In that one scene, I was actually legitimately nervous because him and Candace Patton were both in the most serious, best acted argument of the entire season, if not for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second. Uh-oh.
Yeah. They might both die right now.
I was saying Iris should divorce him, not murder him.
But I do have a critique when it comes to like there's some really good parts of this episode that I want to focus on with Eobard and Nora. I thought they were really cool. And Sherlock, but whatever his name is.
Yeah.
It was good enough.
The point that is made that Iris's decision to go to the future to get Nora back is equivalent to Barry abandoning his daughter in the future. They kept saying that was the same kind of emotional reaction. Is not true. That is, but that
scale.
We were talking about this before. It's he abandoned his daughter on the side of the road, and then Iris went and picked her up. And you're saying that they both did something bad, and they didn't. They didn't do that. She was trying to fix something that happened, a mistake that he made, and that is stupid. She made every right decision in this episode, and I like the idea that she's going to talk to Barry and like figure it out in the sense of I just don't want them to get a divorce, but because of this decision
that she's coming home. You mean that she's not going to go sleep somewhere else?
Yeah, I like that but because she was also like writing a letter to like abandon him basically, and I'm like. Honestly, yeah, maybe you abandon your kid. Like, this is your kid. I know it's way more complicated because of time travel and it's an adult and everything, but still, your choice to make Barry.
To your wife.
Yeah.
If Iris and Barry had sat down and Barry had said, "Listen, Iris, I'm not okay with what she did, and the timeline's getting real messed up, and I think, although I love her and I want to be with her, the best thing for our family and for the future is for us to bring her back to it." Are you down?
So that's why he threw.
Kind of. But if Iris was like, Iris was like, okay, this is really hard, but let's do it. I don't even think bringing her to the future is the bad part of this. It's not just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing it, telling nobody, giving Nora no choice, giving Iris no choice, and coming back and being like, what?
Yeah. Well,
As
why are
if
you
he
mad?
had a tuna fish sandwich and they were like, it smells in here. He was like, sorry.
Yeah.
That would be pretty bad.
A good argument also.
Yeah, it would be pretty bad.
A good argument that could be made too is that Nora has actively been traveling back and forth between the future and the past now just to talk to him, and we already had the conversation about you time traveling, and then they get the mug and they shake the mug and the mug breaks and he puts the mug back together and it's like, well, it's never fixed. And like, there's also an argument of like, we need to stop seeing her. Either she has to stay here and ruin the timeline, and just change it forever, or send her back. They have to actually make a decision. You could have made a point like with that, and you could still have an argument about that decision, but it would have at least made sense with the sci-fi
to talk about
gobbledygook you've set up. Talking about it is the big thing.
You can even throw in a little bit of pettiness too. You could be like, your daughter is the one that you know, you can get some good zingers.
You can just take her and leave her though. Yeah. So that part of the episode, I was so over. The whole Killer Frost family part of the episode was kind of dope though.
I you know what? At first,
this guy looks cool.
At first,
you think it's gonna be stupid, but then it's kind of cool.
I liked him. He's like he had the energy of Jim Carrey's Riddler. He had like the he was like, and he's like, and he would freeze something and like and he'd open it up and like he'd like steal the stuff.
You literally picture him humming in his head the whole time, like, I'm gonna build my family. Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
He's gonna create a bunch of Killer Frost. What can he say? He's a guy and he's got a mission.
I'm gonna have a wife and kid. They're gonna be real cold. They are all freezing.
There you go. But he found a ball that turns ice into things that can turn people into ice. And based on the trailer for next episode, that ball could also send not just ice everywhere, a disease. And I think they're going to use it to get rid of metas in the future. So, or Cicada's going to use it. Sorry, Cicada 2 stole the ball after they stopped Icicle, and Icicle died. And now that's the full recap of the episode. Mm-hmm. But you know what I liked? Sherlock being useful and good.
But I'm still annoyed with his whole kind of like berries. So I told you guys.
He didn't do anything wrong. I don't think he did any. I don't think he did any. Sherlock did not do anything wrong. You don't think he should have at any point throughout this said something's weird with Iris? No, with
Nora.
He was only because, I'll say this, because he was hired to be an investigator. He saw something that was super suspicious, and it was emotionally tied to everybody around him. And since he has no emotional ties, he should actually remove it.
Pick elongated man. Pick Cisco. Pick Caitlin.
To talk to them? No, that's a bad.
I don't think you have to talk to Iris and Barry and Joe, but I think you need to say to somebody, "Hey, this is what I'm noticing. What do you guys think's going on?"
That'd be a bad cop. That'd be you shouldn't say that to the people you're investigating.
But you also shouldn't let them keep doing what they're doing.
Well, that's how you catch them. He's trying to catch and see what's happening. And if he didn't know that the rest of his family...
But it could mess up the entire world.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know what the mystery was. I was fine with him. You can be mad at him.
Sam!
That he did it.
I'm going to side with Sam on this one. I think
you don't know.
I think you wait until you
I liked it better than you guys did.
I know. I like this episode.
You wait until you have all the evidence.
You had Frozen Riddler running around.
Because you don't want to have Also, if you watch any of these shows, like, hey, I'm having, I feel weird about this. Great, we're going to abandon you in the future. Like, it's not, they're not the most rational bunch of people.
And then the way she finally gets back is by getting so mad.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I'll be honest. I like
But she's pissed.
Oh yeah, and honestly,
she should be.
Yeah, I'd be pissed too. But I like the way they set up Eobard's relationship, where it's like you can clearly tell, and the other characters like Iris can tell that he's manipulative, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't care about Nora. And he never sought out Nora. He never wanted to have anything to do with her whatsoever. But
unless he did.
Maybe he does.
Because he turned her away at first.
But that's the point. And then he created
what's that called?
Godspeed.
Is it like, it's like negging or something like that?
Really?
It's some stupid dating term you could use for this.
Yeah.
It's where you like gaslight people and then they become more interested.
It's basically Queen What I Want to Be in Whatever I Want to Be in Lego Movie 2, which she does to Batman. Like, no, I'm not interested. You, what about Superman?
Exactly. There you go.
I think it's just wannabe.
Mm-hmm. Whenever I want to, whatever. No. Oops.
What would you guys rate this episode?
I did want to say really quick. Hold on. We do have to go quick because we are going to go see Avengers Endgame very soon. I get you. I like where Sherlock ended up, that he's still on the team and still helping out.
Me too.
I like where Eobard's at, but he has to get out of his future prison at some point.
Faux show.
Do we know what the timer is counting down to?
His execution.
Oh.
He's on death row.
What time is it now?
5 till... Maybe they have 1 minute. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I like elongated man that he can shapeshift. I forgot that he can do that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that too. But then when he turned into the security guard, I was like, oh, but I wish it was our dude.
Which guy?
And not this actor.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted him to still be doing the role.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I forget how he does I don't know how he changes his voice,
Yeah.
but hey, don't matter. What would you give the episode?
Probably 7.5.
I think I agree. No, I liked it more.
But I liked it more,
I liked it
but
more.
I agree.
I liked that the writers tried to, air quote, fix a dumb decision or justify it. I don't know where they ended up with what Barry did, because they're like, this is bad, and we're going to have everyone agree that this is bad, but at the end, we're going to move on.
I agree with that. I didn't want to harp on this for too long.
This has got to be. This reminds me a lot of conversations. We're transitioning Arrow, but like Oliver season 5, like Oliver, man, you gotta stop like punishing yourself with all. I think, but we were more forgiving with Oliver because it was self-destructive, as opposed to like screwing up everybody else's junk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Agreed. But let's talk about Oliver for a second. In Arrow Season 7, Episode 19, Spartan. After the Ninth Circle delivers a major setback to Team Arrow, Diggle reluctantly reaches out to a 4-star general of the Defense Intelligence Agency for help, despite unresolved tension from their past. Meanwhile, Oliver discovers a piece of information that he believes will turn Emiko against the Ninth Circle. Alina returns with an interesting proposal for Felicity. There you go.
What do you think of this, DJ?
That's Alina. That's the name of that character.
Oh, I've never known.
I never know. It's just in my brain. I swear to God, every time she shows up on screen, I'm like Barbara Gordon. It's just like in my brain. It's just like she's 100. I think we have an asset with her too. It's just like this girl would be so perfect as Barbara Gordon in this universe, and I can't. I know I've said it before, but I can't get it out of my brain. So I never knew her name was Alina. Anyway, I liked that we are now at the point with a lot of like, Game of Thrones is wrapping up, Avengers is wrapping up, Arrow's wrapping up in the next season. And when you've got these long-running genre shows, they're just in full fan service mode. Like, hey, this is what you want? Here you go. Here, just giving all to it. And so now we've basically officially confirmed with, by the way, Ernie Hudson's amazing. Love him. Mm-hmm. He's great in everything. That John Diggle, though John Diggle we know and love for 7 seasons, is this universe's Jon Stewart. He just doesn't have the Green Lantern ring.
He's just named John Diggle.
He's just named John Diggle because in this universe he didn't take his stepdad's name, but he's, how everybody was like, oh, it's Jon Stewart. Yep, you're right. Here you go. Here's that, and I'm for it. I was
always for that.
Yeah, I'm for the fan service. Give it to me. I love it, and I like their dynamic, and I like what this was the only part of the episode that really stuck with me was just what was going on with them and Diggle learning that I guess his dad was a fuck up. His biological dad wasn't so great.
It's always hard to learn though, and it seems to happen on these shows like maybe once a month.
Yes,
where somebody's learning that their biological father or mother,
not so hot,
or sibling,
or kids,
or child.
Yeah, everyone kind of messes up, and that's a great lesson to learn, kids.
Felicity's got weird parents. Oliver's had parents who have really messed up, which means that Thea's had parents that have really messed up, although not both the same, but in different ways.
So something interesting is the Jesse L. Martin's role as Papa West was they originally reached out to Ernie Hudson to play the role.
Oh, that
and so it's
cool.
interesting watching.
How'd you know that?
It was one of the early casting things before Flash was even a show.
Direct offer, or he auditioned for it?
I think it was I don't remember. It was a news article
but
before
take it?
Flash was even Flash, before the show even hit the air.
Wow. Do you know if he wasn't interested or if he was busy? Wow.
I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
But it is interesting watching this and like wondering how it would have changed the dynamic of that show.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Same. I like his energy in this episode, and I agree that it's the only thing that really stuck with me because we have our future stuff. Where it kind of spins its wheels, and by the end, we're looking at the helmet, and Archer is bad. And Wild Dog is not bad. He's just playing along, and he let a murderous robot killer assassin go out and track people by DNA.
They have created a future that I don't care about. And that's a problem.
Yeah,
it's a lot of this episode.
I think maybe that's why this episode didn't really click for me. Is I kind of tune out when the future stuff happens, but I also kind of tune out whenever we're talking about Archer or any other tech thing, and that seemed to be a bulk of the episode. So I was tuned out for a lot of this episode.
I love that a piece of technology that would fundamentally change every world government, period, and military, something that could track DNA. Again, that is I don't know why I can be like, oh, Speed Force makes people go faster. Every moron with a calculator could figure that out. But they're like, no, this tablet holds the technology to scan and detect anyone's DNA on the planet.
No, I'm with you.
That's stupid. It's
stupid. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts.
That's very dumb. I think there's a way that you could make a technology like that make more sense. But when you're like, no, this iPad that I keep chucking around has that technology on it, and someone could take this from me when I'm on the subway and I wouldn't know.
Woof.
That's dumb. I do like Felicity too, and Felicity working together. That's fun. And you can hear like, Felicity wants to leave the show. You can hear I gotta be doing something else outside of Arrow. I beg to differ. After 8 years, you don't. You're fine.
It's
also
wherever
weird
you are.
to bail right before the final. Like you've only got. It's even at like a half season. It's like 10 episodes or something. It's like, just stick around for the last.
It's so close.
We're
so close.
We're gonna bring you back for the last episode anyway. Like, what are you talking
for the
about?
Crossover.
Yeah, like you're basically gonna be around as is.
So like 8 episodes less, you said.
Other than Ernie Hudson, who he's so talented. It's so great to see him in anything. The part that stood out to me was Emiko killing Dante.
The line when he's like dying, I'm like, don't care. Where are we gonna end up with Emiko moving forward? Or what do you get in the feeling?
Definitely not having her own show.
No.
We're
putting all our cards behind Future Star City having its own show.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Maybe somehow turning. Maybe she's part team good guy.
Let's hold on a second. So, in Legends, which we're going to talk about soon, that we had John Diggle Jr. Who was going under the alias Connor Hawk. Why was that his alias? Don't worry about it.
And John Diggle on our show had Sarah.
Yeah,
who turned into
John Diggle Jr.
John Diggle Jr.
And
who
now
is now adopted by Bronze Tiger.
No. See, that's the thing. We have John Diggle Jr. and then John Diggle adopts Connor Hawk, who's Bronze Tiger's kid.
Oh, right.
So now
right.
Connor Hawk and John Diggle Jr. are two separate entities.
Yes.
And so
that's better.
I'm
also,
trying to remember,
John Diggle Jr. is so good in a fight. Why aren't we focusing on him more in the future? Give him the hood. Let him be Green Arrow.
Do we see John Diggle Jr. that's not with the Deathstrokes?
No.
Okay. Who are you talking about? When you just said John Diggle Jr. is really good in a fight.
Sorry. Connor Hawk.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry,
I got confused.
Because they used to be the same character.
They did. This is pretty dense now to try to figure out.
Also, poor Sarah. She just was their baby girl. No, she's not on the planet.
Well, maybe she's just now John Diggle Jr.
Yeah, but no, she's not.
But maybe same
mind
spirit is in this.
Different strokes for different folks. What can I say?
But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Finders keepers.
Yeah.
My body, my life, my universe, my timeline. I think the only question we can end on here is just to clear up. Crap. Where'd he go? Oh, not question. I just wanted to state a little observation. I love how Ernie Hudson is now just getting tours of the lair for Arrow because now the police can show up whenever they want. Government officials can come by anytime they want. They might have civilian tours at some point. You're supposed to because like police stations or FBI, people can
Open
take tours.
To the public,
yeah.
Also, we talk a lot about Archer being ridiculous. There's a scene where they're in this facility and they're like, "Don't worry, all these top secret facilities have the exact same layout. There should be this room over here." Wait, what?
It's cheaper to build. Government's we want smart government spending.
Yeah, so that way, no matter what facility you break into, don't worry, it's all the same layout.
I need to not focus on that, or I get too. I need to not think about that for the sake of me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I still like the season more than the last one.
No,
more than
last season was awesome.
Both.
Or was it the first half of this season that I loved?
First half of the season.
With the prison.
The prison was still this season.
That was so good.
Yeah, last season was a lot of
Can we break them into
dragon.
halves? So this is season 7.
Yeah.
So season 6A, 6B more so. 7A loved. 7B.
Not so much. A lot of flash forward stuff. But speaking of flash forward, let's flash forward.
Wait, we didn't rate it.
Oh yeah, let's flash forward to a rating.
7. Roxy's a 7. I think
I give it like a 7.
And I liked it less than you.
Let's do it. Oh, good. Well, here we'll do a 3-handed handshake real quick.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because I liked it the most.
There, 3, 2, and close and shake, shake, and boom.
You know what I do when I'm doing a handshake with multiple people like that? I don't actually move my arm. I let you guys do it.
That's good.
To conserve energy.
Yeah, it's good.
Fair, that's fair.
Thinking smart. Thinking flash forward.
Happens a lot.
Speaking of flash forward, let's talk about Legends of Tomorrow, Season 4, Episode 12, The Eggplant, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. With darkness on the rise in 2019, the team realizes that the new host of problems have arisen as they have been cleaning up history. Sarah tries to save Ava from a fate worse than death while battling her own demons. Nora and Constantine work together to take down a powerful demon. Meanwhile, Zari gets unsolicited advice from Mona, Charlie, and even Rory.
Oh man, one of the best plot lines the show's ever had.
So,
are you being facetious?
Yeah,
okay.
man. This is a bunch of grown adults who have traveled through time and fought space demons, trying to figure out what Zari should text to Nate, who's a coworker. Just ask him out. What the fuck is even happening? You're adults.
Yeah, hey, man, sexting is gross, and it's weird that they're talking about it.
For us to have spent the entire episode on that, and then his phone was bulldozed, and he didn't even get it, I was gonna punch everybody in the face.
It was bare. To be fair, it's not focused on that much. It's more the mega store and talking with Neron.
Okay, so I want to punch IKEA in the face also, and I want to punch Neron in the face.
Why?
His holy face.
Oh. To me, this is one of the worst episodes of Legend of all time.
Wow, that's strong. Do you remember Vandal Savage?
Okay, I'm so sorry.
and
you
Hawks.
are so right. This is one. I didn't mind the Hawks. This is one of the worst episodes of Legend in the last 2 years.
Okay.
That's fair. I don't necessarily feel that strongly because this wasn't as Mona-focused as the last couple episodes. So those would be up there for me. But I liked the IKEA of Doom stuff, but it is bumming me out because this show used to be a highlight for me every week, and now I'm watching. I'm like,
Doom Patrol.
I'd be dropping this show because it's like the whole. So Nate's weirded out that his dad wanted to create a theme park, and he brings up the fact that he was embezzling government money to do it. So he has them shut it down, which of course you should. And then he's like, but then my dad loved me, so I'm going to stop it. It's still embezzling government money. What are you talking? None of that situation changed.
Your dad is bad. Your dad did bad things. Your dad wasn't torturing people, but he
still wants to put them in cages.
Yeah, not only was your dad a bad, he was also apparently pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Like terminally dumb.
He's designing things off of your drawing.
Yeah. He just handed us this. And I had to build off of this children's drawing. This is a dragon pit. Don't know what to do about that.
This storyline is dumb as balls. And then the IKEA one, I think the reason I don't care about it as much is because I have never cared about their relationship.
Ouch.
Ever.
It's good to love yourself. That's what they're doing.
And that is what's happening. I have liked Sarah with almost every other person, and like one-off episodes where she like bangs the Queen of England or whatever. Like I have liked her.
We all love that.
I have liked her with, or Knights of the Round Table, whoever. Every other person she's been with better.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're bad for each other, or it's just the most bland, boring relationship ever.
What are you talking? Hey, to each their own, but to give them a little credit, they do have a pretty spicy love life. All right, they're traveling through time. They're building IKEA.
They never see each other.
They go on missions all the time.
I don't feel like they've gotten enough mileage out of the fact that she slept with Constantine and she's on the ship with
him.
I feel like there'd be a cool like love triangle you could get out of that they're not.
Or when she goes over to
or Gary.
When she goes over to Arrow, like they barely talk about how she was sleeping with Oliver for a hot second and a second that destroyed a lot of other things. Like
I did like those two characters together.
I did too. But literally anybody else. This is just the least interesting. They both look identical. They move identically. It's like, why would you date your mirror?
I feel like there's a subreddit for that.
The one thing I did like about this episode that actually made me care about the relationship more is it emphasized the differences in their personalities. which I thought was made me more invested.
But have
in
you
their
seen
dynamic.
those differences, or did this just decide that they had those?
I just decided that they had them. However, it does track with what we know about the characters.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's from the moment we met Ava. She's much more structured. She's much more straightforward, and she doesn't mess around when it comes to what she wants.
Yeah.
And Sarah can get what she wants, but she's clearly running by like the seat of her pants, or however you want to drive by the seat of her pants.
No.
What is it called?
She's flying
Flying by the
seat
seat of her pants.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. It's one of those
Walking by the
actions.
seat of her pants,
See,
jogging,
To each their own.
rollerblading by
and
the seat of her pants.
Whatever you want to do with your pants, man.
The visualization of them looking at mattresses I thought was great, and also them working together to build stuff. It's like it's a good metaphor for what the relationship's going to be like.
Also,
was
if
the
you've
Gary
ever
part of this, though?
good lord, you could write about the show. But also, if you've ever tried to build IKEA with a spouse, it challenges that relationship to its very core.
I agree with that, but I think that this would have been a great premise if I cared about this couple at all.
Fair. I think that's a fair point.
I really care about them. I hope they end up together.
You really do?
Also, does anyone truly not use the instructions when they build furniture? Do people?
I don't know. I was always taught to.
Yeah. Do you really want to throw $500 down the drain by you messing up and
Because
plugging it in upside down?
Especially IKEA, you cannot undo the furniture you've built.
Yeah, and
it
also
just breaks in weekends.
even if you read because the IKEA instructions, like it's just pictures, it's easy to follow. It is not.
Mm-mm.
It is not. It's like deciphering hieroglyphs. Like,
and 9 out of 10 times they haven't given you all the things you need in the package. I've had to go back there so many times.
Yeah, so if you're one of those people that doesn't read instructions, because you do exist, that's not the biggest fantasy of the show of that person existing. Please let me know and tell me what happened to you for you to make such a bad decision.
Tell us how that goes.
How that goes. But gang, wait, I wanted to give it. Shout out to Neron, but the human version of that, because he's fine. He went to hell, and I don't know if he experienced anything in hell. Then he came back, and Neron used his body like a little puppet, and now he's fine.
Yeah.
So are him and Constantine gonna get it on?
No, man, he's done. Also, I'd be done. I'd be like, wait, you threw me into hell. You sacrificed me. I know you're bummed about it, but you still did
I think
that.
you're
Let's
wrong.
throw up a Ray because
Ray
is now the
proud owner of a demon.
It looked like he was wearing too much makeup in this episode, and his hair
is
was
so
just
long.
like, yeah, he just looked.
Can I throw this out there? I pulled these assets. I don't remember what scene this is from.
They're looking at
For the
where they're
park.
building the park.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so dumb. What happened to this show, man? What happened to this show?
It's what happens when you let the kids keep playing unsupervised for this long.
Yeah.
Talk about looking in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I like both these characters.
Actually, you
I
know
do
what?
too, but they're not dating.
I think the actor is Nick Zano. I thought, even though I think the plot line's so dumb, I think he's been doing tremendous work.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's
really
really
good.
talented.
They got
agree.
some good supporting characters. I wish Charlie was used more.
I actually think all of the actors on this show totally work for me.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with their performances.
There's literally
Mona?
a scene where
Yeah, I was
where
thinking about that.
Mick is sleeping. Like and they're not even pretending like he's doing something. They just cut
you
to a
guys-
scene and he's
You
asleep.
guys see what I'm saying now? Where
Yeah.
I wish that he was doing the Tom Cavanaugh. Like, we've got to start throwing him things to do.
Yeah.
They literally are just filming him on set.
Yeah, and then he goes surfing with his kids. I follow him on Instagram. He surfs a lot, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
He's found a good gig. Honestly, I like this episode. I mean, it's dumb as hell, but it's only a little bit dumber than a lot of the other stuff they've done. I think it's handled better in other seasons. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. We've been giving everything 7s. I have to give it something
This
higher.
is a 6.
Wow.
Give it a 7. Give it a 7.
Interesting.
Because 7, 8, 9.
Boom.
This is I'm bummed that I didn't get a chance to watch this because I wanted to be a part of this conversation.
Oh, you mean Gotham season 5?
What did I tell you?
Episode
You-
11.
Neither of you deserve this.
Oh, I'm so excited. The episode title, they did what? Say it one more time. They did what? As Bane enacts, okay, this is a long one. As Bane enacts his final plan for Gotham's destruction, Gordon rallies his former enemies to save the city. Meanwhile, Nis Al Ghul kidnaps Barbara's newborn daughter named Barbara with ambitions to raise her as her own Barbara.
Barbara
Then
Lee.
Bruce's decision to leave Gotham points him to his destiny while devastating Selina.
Okay.
Remember when the grenade
devastated.
falls in front of? Remember when
So-
they all have automatic weapons and they're firing at each other from
Got
20 feet
automatic
away,
weapons.
and no one's getting hit by anything? Not a single person gets hit by one bullet.
Yeah.
Penguin gets hit by a grenade, and
whatever.
he's standing right in front of it, and it only hits his eye.
Well, that's more brave than you've ever been, okay?
Yeah.
Same, whatever.
Same. I've never been in a position where I needed to protect.
Let's talk about the premise of you watching this episode.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me that you invested time into this.
Thank you. They are very long episodes.
I will say that this was not my favorite episode.
Good to know.
However, there was a lot of things I was thinking about. If Sam and DJ watch this, there's going to be a ton of nuances that they're not totally picking up on.
Okay.
Give
us some of those. Now,
is Gotham capable?
Hold on. Go back to the one you were just on. I'm so sorry. So I pulled the assets for this, even though I didn't watch this episode. This looks like a dream sequence from another show where like all the characters are here to tell you about your past. You know, like, hey, your life didn't. This is like, It's a Wonderful Life Batman edition. Like, hey, you know what, Jim Gordon, your life did matter. Here we all are to tell you.
So that's not exactly what's happening here.
Okay. What exactly is happening here?
And
why are Penguin and Riddler's jackets too big for their bodies?
It's cold outside. You need layers.
Okay.
It's also a different time period.
Is it?
So you've got to wear a big jacket.
Oh, true. I did want to say just the only like glaring negative of this episode is that the actress they got for Nissa Al Ghul, the way she handles her lines is awful. She speaks like she's reading a cereal box, and it's awful. Everybody else delivered lines like actors and people.
I do hear you.
Yeah, she gets eaten by a dog on a submarine, and that's the end of her thing.
It's gonna be really hard to come in like this late in the game.
To a show so
so good. Wait, so let me hear.
Sorry, I don't want to shit on your parade.
Did you dislike this episode?
I don't think I know enough about it to say that.
That's what I said.
That you showed me.
Let's talk about the different storylines. Let's break it down.
Yeah. Okay. So starting in the beginning.
And what am I going to ask you to do?
I'm gonna scroll back up so you can see what it is. But starting out, Jim Gordon enlists criminals who have murdered children and adults to come and use automatic weapons and fire them at the street. That's what happens in the beginning of this episode, and I'm fine with it because Penguin does the with his walking with his foot sideways, and I was like,
he's really good, isn't he? Though?
He's good, and he's like, I gotta fight for Gotham. My blood's here, and then he walks away. I'm like, yes, this is exactly how comic books work.
No, Riddler's like, no, we're not doing that.
But I got a little bit of a for Penguin, so I got to come fight with you.
Are you sensing the vibe?
Yeah,
yeah. Are you shipping them? Like, do you think that that's a thing?
I thought it was.
Didn't you tell us what was the thing on the show?
Okay.
Didn't they have sex? Oh.
I mean, not the way.
It's been a thing forever. Riddler has not been down because he was in love with Lee.
That's true. I mean, I can't say that. I don't know. That sounds about right.
But Penguin loves him. Although they almost murdered each other in this episode. That was a cool shot, right?
No, but it would be for fans. As someone who doesn't know, it was
They're
not.
Almost going to stab. It's a stab hug.
End of the episode, they're like, Penguin's like, I got to do, my Penguin stuff. And Riddler's like, question, because that's what he does. So they're like, you know what?
They were saying, we're never going to let this city run us anymore. We're gonna own it, and it's gonna be me and you, baby. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, bone, bone. And we should shake hands. And they're like, no, actually, we should hug because we're brothers.
And then they hug.
Having sex with your brothers is a thing. Incest.
It's cool because TV says
incest
it's cool
is
now.
Incest.
But they hug, and
right?
both of them happen to have switchblades in their pockets, so they're holding it right to each other's backs like they're about to kill each other. But then they pull it away and hide it.
It's a cool moment. A cool visual.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
That they're
it's
always
how they want to penetrate each other.
In every scene that we've seen this season, every scene that they're getting along, they're also one step away from killing each other.
Interesting. Speaking of killing each other, we have Bane in the get up, the face stuff is actually not bad.
It looks cool.
I don't know what's on his chest. I don't know what I'm looking at. It looks like they slapped some tar on a piece of cardboard.
It's part of his way of breathing and living.
I choose death, but whatever.
I like that Tom Hardy played the role once, and now it's like this is a thing. This whole
get up,
yeah,
the suspender, whatever you're holding on to.
But he did a good job too. No,
I think he does a fine job with what the role is. I would not criticize his role, or what he has to do in this episode. I think this scene is dumb when they fight, when they're shooting at each other, because. No, it's worse than stormtroopers. They are only 20 feet away from each other, and they're all firing automatic weapons at the same time.
Have you ever tried? It's hard.
Behind no barriers.
Whatever.
behind nothing. They throw grenades. No one dies.
Yeah.
Maybe some of Bane's forces? Maybe. And then the choice we make beyond that is that we go to Bruce and Selena. They're like, we gotta.
This is a cool part of the episode.
We gotta block the army from coming to us, so we have to knock down every big building in Gotham to block them from getting to us.
Yes.
Am I following? And so, and then they find
But that's cool thought process.
It is. It is. Yeah. I mean, for the no.
We got to protect the city by destroying half of it to
Yeah.
keep
Sometimes you have to break it down to build it up, DJ.
Yeah.
Gotham has taught us that.
And they can guarantee not one person's in one of those buildings that they were toppling
yeah,
over.
because he knows things.
And there
He's lived
is
here a long time.
like an outlet, like a power outlet. There is a plug for this bomb to be plugged into because Jeremiah used this bomb to plug it in earlier.
You're breaking your spirit, man. Look over here.
No, I'm just making. I'm following what happened in this because that's how they describe it. They said Jeremiah wanted to use this bomb before.
No, he didn't want. He had planted them around the city. He had plans to do all this, and some had gone off, and they found them. But these were plans that was under the ground.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But there is a plug that takes this bomb specifically into the wall.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I'm not going to call that out because that happens in all. Batman's always got something in his utility belt that can hack anything. Yep. Whatever, that's fine. What they do is they plug it in, they look at it like, dum, 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 and it's like beeping and making all these sounds. And they're like, what are we supposed to do now? And they're like, run? And then they run. 5 seconds later, the entire building explodes.
So they timed it well.
They did. And they got good timing. That's important, especially in a relationship.
But that's not even the best part.
Did you like when they fought Bane?
No, the best part is when he leaves on the plane.
Oh, you're going way too far. You're getting toward the end. I'm talking about when
I know what you're talking about.
It's when they don't know what mammals fly. And they're like, wait, this attracts flying mammals. What kind? What other animals?
Wait. To be fair, you looked it up and you found one.
Flying squirrels. There's the only other flying, air quotes, animals. They can't go up.
Mammals.
Yeah.
Mammals. Yeah.
Well,
it attracts flying mammals.
And flying squirrels are very dangerous.
This device attracts them. And so that's fine. But it's someone asks for clarification of what he could possibly mean by flying mammals at night in a city that's basically a sewer without a top on it. They don't know what they're talking about. That's so perfect for this show. Just saying.
It's perfect.
It is
You
perfect for the
agree.
show. But from the outsider's perspective, that is so dumb. But I loved it because it meant the bats ate Bane. No, they didn't eat Bane. What'd they do with Bane?
It was a version of that.
Yeah.
So, Roxy, what was your favorite?
Sorry, Bruce leaves. Sorry,
This is so
Bruce
cool.
leaves.
So I'm glad we're on the same page so far about all the cool moments. Because then Bruce is saying goodbye to Alfred at the airport because he's got to go.
Yeah.
To train.
Yeah. He just can't be here anymore, man.
I get
It's
it.
been a
After you've
lot.
blown up half the city to block an army.
So he's talking to Alfred, and he's already left a note for his lady, who's, at this point, you could say, I mean, they might be a little weird about labels, but it's his boo.
Uh-huh.
And so then she knows he's leaving, so she comes to the runway, but he's already on the plane, and he's flying away, and he sees her at the window, but he's going to train.
No.
Why wouldn't he tell her anything?
Because it's complicated.
That sounds about right for the answer. On the whiteboard in the writer's room. Why doesn't he say? Because it's too complicated. Can't explain it.
It's hard to say goodbye to people.
It is.
And it's not goodbye for always, it's goodbye for now.
Yeah.
Because when he comes back,
He's Batman.
and she,
Catwoman.
and that,
It's
So
complicated.
Here's something that
It's
confuses me.
complicated.
Is they've already announced that they're recasting Catwoman for the last episode because they're aging her up. What does that mean for your Batman?
they recast him as well.
Did they? They've announced that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
With Ian,
With Ian.
his
Our pal
name.
Ian.
I don't
Yeah.
know his last name.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure it out next week. Actually, it's tonight. We're going to be talking about it next week, though.
How are we going to do our watch along?
We will watch it separately, alone. Sorry,
I don't want to
Avengers.
watch with you guys.
Yeah, same. Gross. But I am excited to talk
I
about
don't
it.
even want to watch with you.
Roxy, what would you rate this
This
episode?
is an 8.
Hey, nice.
I mean, I have to agree.
Yeah.
I know you do.
I don't know the history. There's a lot of history
Did you
here.
have fun at all?
I did have fun. because of how silly it was. But speaking of silly, this is going to quick review because there's we want to talk about Doom Patrol, and it's going to be fun. Also, we have a movie we have to get to. We're going to go really fast. Let's talk about Cloak and Dagger Season 2, Episode 4, Rabbit Hole. Still on our quest to find out more about the sex trafficking ring. Tandy takes her dangerous trip to find Mayhem, who may have the answers she needs. Tyrone's past actions catch up with him and put Adina in harm's way. That's his mom. And so, this could also be a...
Can I tell you the problem? The show's a bummer.
It is.
And that's a problem for me.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1, there was some really fun, interesting parts. And Season 2, this show is a bummer. I'm not saying this stuff is not happening. I'm saying that we are spending a ton of time talking about sex trafficking and who's actually being looked for and who is not. And the two halves of your personality and like when you should kill somebody and when you should hurt them. And it's so draining and it's such a bummer. And I have to watch this show at nighttime and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh, there's nothing fun about this show.
I like the aspects of Tyrone's abilities, like manifesting as like this kind of ethereal plane where they can go, and it's very spiritual, and I like that aspect.
I like it too. There are parts I really like. It's just so heavy.
It is, but also at the same time, I think the show's doing an okay to good job talking about these things that we don't talk about.
It's so true, and
sex trafficking and human trafficking matter, and if you have a platform and you want to talk about it, especially when it comes to young people being aware that this happens more than you think in places that should be safe.
Completely agree. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about two different things right now. One is quality of show, which is they're doing a good job. The second one is entertainment value, and I'm so bummed out watching this.
That's fair.
And it's not like watching the news, but it's kind of like watching the news sometimes, and I'm like, oh my God, I just kind of want to come home and have a glass of wine and put on my, my teen hot little like show. Mm-hmm. Not that the teens are hot, just this is like a...
Oh, we get you. Yeah, you were on a shaky path there, but we got you.
The detective is hot, though. She's Mayhem.
There you go.
She's like a hot murdering person.
Hey, Tyrone's mom.
Huh. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Dear God. But that's what this is supposed to, in my mind, like be kind of a escape. And when we do voodoo and we've got all this stuff and their powers. We've got all these things that should be so cool. But instead, all I'm thinking about is, wow, I can't believe that sex trafficking is going on right now. I can't believe that she's trying to deal with all of this as a kid and that all these problems. I can't believe that he's fighting in these gang wars essentially and trying to protect his mom. And it's hard. It's hard to watch.
Agreed. But I think they're doing a pretty good job dealing with it, and these young actors are doing a good job. And when it comes to how they are doling out the information, especially when Tyrone tells the story about the vampire nuns, because he says that and you're like, what? And it's a story.
The way that was shot was interesting. We're going back and forth between those. Yeah, that was kind of cool choice.
It's a folk tale from New Orleans. As far as I could tell, it was real. I did not do my research when it came to this, but the way, at least the context for the show makes sense.
They made it up. That'd be so bizarre.
It's got to be real. It's got to be real. But basically, to get women from Europe who are poor over here, they would like hide away in the hulls of ships as stowaways. But it was more more brutal than like a stowaway that you would normally think is pretty. It was pretty horrifying. And when they got here, they were treated as like sex. They were basically became sex workers in order to survive when they got here. And the way you look at it, it's parallel. It's a parallel between that and the story you're finding about all these girls who were taken. So I thought that was cool. I thought that was a cool story element. I do agree that this show is dark. This show is very dark, and it's darker than I thought it was going to be moving into season 2. But I still think they're doing a good job with everything, and also with the older detective, the villain of season 1 now loose. I really want to know what his mental state is right now, because he's been alone and isolated for 8 months, something like that. So how is he dealing with?
How are you coming up with 8 months?
That's what they said.
Timeline has been confusing for me.
It's been 8 months between the end of season 1 and season 2. They say that.
And you think it's been no time since the start of season 2 and now?
It's maybe been a week, but it's still that guy's been in there for 8 months.
Okay.
So yeah, you have to figure out what's happening exactly.
So what would you rate the episode, Sam?
I'd give it a 7.5.
I think so also. Mm-hmm. It's hard because quality of show, I think it's higher than that, but for how much I want to watch it.
You guys almost had me interested, and then you said 7.5. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. nah, I'm good.
It's not bad. The show is interesting, and it's talking about stuff that is important.
I'm glad it exists and it's on. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if I wasn't covering these shows, I don't know if I would choose to come home and watch it.
That's
No,
fair.
That's fair.
But lastly, let's give a quick shout out, quick spoiler-free review, and we'll hop into spoilers. This will be like 3 minutes, super fast. So, and you can go to youtube.com/onlystupidanswers for our full Doom Patrol spoiler breakdown of episode 10 of season 1, Francis Patrol. While Larry pays a visit to his long-lost love, Cliff and Rita travel to Gator Country to reconnect with his daughter, and Vic worries about his operating system. And my dumb review is still below there from the other episode, because I forgot that it was there once again.
The exact opposite of Cloak and Dagger. You could not pay me to not watch this show.
You'd
I
fight someone
would
to
fight
find
somebody.
a streaming
Yeah.
login to watch it.
I love this episode. Again,
Agreed.
I loved this episode, especially the Gator stuff, which was
Interesting.
so absurd to me. Oh, that was your least favorite part?
This episode felt like filler to me. This was actually
Oh.
kind of what I was worried about when they said they extended the episode order, that we'd get some wheel spinning, because I still loved it, still really enjoy the show, still like what they're doing, but it felt like it felt like we're a pit stop on the way to we're episode 11. We need to start getting to what's happening here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still enjoyed it. And then the Gator stuff felt.
Which, no spoilers.
No spoilers. The Gator stuff felt like what? Like it didn't feel. It felt like a joke from a different show.
Oh, to me, it was so this show.
Until the end, and I liked the end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was heartwarming too, not just the Gator stuff, but a lot of the motivation behind a lot of these characters, as we've seen all season, is just continuing, wanting to get better. Mm-hmm. That being we don't love who we used to be. We would like to be better versions of ourselves, has kind of been the through line to me of this season, and how that manifested in this episode really worked for me.
Agreed. I cried at the end of this episode, specifically Larry's storyline and reconnecting with his long lost love, and also his evolving connection with the negative spirit and what that entails for these people. And what this thing can do, because when we get into spoilers, there's a lot to kind of break down what it's capable of and what we've learned throughout this episode. Also, they set some clues of this ability that it can do in previous episodes, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I got some serious, being vague and just kind of connected to something else, San Junipero vibes. And I'll explain that more when we get into spoilers, because what resonated with me in San Junipero was lightly touched upon in this. And in San Junipero, I bawled. I don't know how to describe how hard I cried every time I watched that episode of Black Mirror.
Allie and AJ style.
Classic.
Let the rain fall down.
Yeah, no,
on my cheeks.
I cried. I bawled 4 times in San Junipero, 3 times, 4 times, something like that. And it was at the end, the finale for Larry's storyline. And this kind of just it just felt like everything kind of settled for his character. That doesn't mean everything's good and he's fully like cemented in who he is now, but I feel like we are taking positive steps forward for who he is.
I agree.
Instead of spinning our wheels with his character, it felt like an end to that, and now we can move forward.
I agree. I still, like last week, I would like to see more of Rita and her abilities, so hopefully we'll be getting that in the future. And then one of the craziest parts of this episode for me, with no spoilers, is Cyborg.
Yeah, genuinely really feeling not good for him.
What?
And it's a lot of what people were suspecting what was going on with this character, and now it's being solidified, but it's also being explored in a way that I didn't expect. Yeah. It feels more like a horror movie. And I
kind of think he's the one I would want to be the least, which I thought I would want to be him the most. But now at this point, I'm like, just the thought of what's happening to him is so, if that was happening to me, I would lose it.
Yes.
I would lose it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. But really quick, let's give a quick rating, and we'll hop over to the spoiler filled. What'd you give it?
Roxy?
8.5.
7.5.
9 out of 10.
But I liked it better than you.
Interesting.
Definitely than you.
Definitely than DJ. But gang, thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. Spoiler-filled review for Doom Patrol will be up on tomorrow. That'll be Friday for episode 10, Francis Patrol. We appreciate you guys. Hit us up on the Discord. We're going to be reading your thoughts next week. My rig doesn't allow for that right now with our teleprompter, but we'll have another thing so that we can have people reading those reviews. It is another phone. We just got to get more phones. But until next time, gang, stay frosty. I don't know. Okay, love you. Bye.
Sure, why not?